In this section, we're going to back up our database using the myphpadmin utility. Most hosting accounts out there have this available, and you can very easily use this to back up your database. First things first, you would just log into your server. On the left-hand side, you're going to pick the database. In which case, mine is called the Onlearningpoint.com database. Let's give that a moment for it to load. You can also do a restore, and so if you're looking to restore your database, this would be the right section for it as well. Seems like there was quite a few jobs running in the background. It took it a little while for it to come up, and I had to pause the video. So the easiest area to go to is just go to the Export tab. That's right here. Make sure that all of these guys are selected. This guy, SQL, he's automatically selected. So the only thing that you really need to check is this drop table event. This is in the event that you would need to do a restore, that it would issue the drop event, so you don't actually need to go through and drop the entire database before restoring it. Just saves you a step later on should you need to. You can save the file as the database name is fine. The defaults are just fine. I usually choose the zipped format because it's going to save a lot of space. Most of the file is actually going to be just space in there, and this will zip it down, and then just press the go button. This will run all the proper commands that you need in order to zip that file. Once it's done running, it will give you a zip file for you to download. Good place to store that zip file would probably be not only on your server but also on your local machine, making sure that you specify that it's a 2.2 save file. I'm just going to save mine right here. This looks like a good spot to keep it. Once that's completed, if we refer back to our upgrade guide, we can see that there's a few other ways that you could have upgraded. But now the next step would be to go to site settings, site administration, and notifications. So let's do that. There is a few other steps in between, and we're just going to go to our website right here. The first step is going to be that it's going to ask us to upgrade the database from 2.2 here to 2.3. It asks us to log in, which is a little strange. I don't remember seeing that before. You probably don't need to log in at this stage. So just press the continue button, and you should feel comfortable in doing so as long as you've created backups. You could always roll back should you need to. This is going to check to see what versions of the plugins and what needs to be done at what point. I'm all clear here, so we're just going to click on the continue button. Should you run into problems here, that you would just click on the actual individual error and figure out why it's giving you that problem. You can see here that this page is going to be looking for plugins. I'm not sure exactly why this button is here, but I press it, and I guess it just goes in and does a recheck. Pressing it didn't seem to make a difference when I looked at this before, but it's just going to show what versions are going to be installed here or upgraded. There is a few items that I did want to point out to you here. Let's see. I had a few failures in here. It didn't seem to make a difference. It was seemed like it was just an old plugin that was no longer being used. I don't see those at this point. So at the very bottom, just press Upgrade Moodle Database Now, and all the little hamsters are going to start churning away and updating the database. In the background, it's probably running a very long PHP script, which is issuing a lot of SQL statements. If you have a very large site, this is an area where you may run into some problems. The scripts, the PHP scripts, are only allowed to run for so long before they get killed on the server. And this is sometimes an environmental setting that's set by the server admins. Depending on what type of hosting account, they may set that value down even lower in order to provide better stability on the server. Usually if you have a script that runs much over a minute, it'll typically mean that there's something wrong with the script, and that it's gone wild and is no longer responding to human controls. And so for that reason, that's normally why they do delete the process that's associated with it. That causes big problems. What you might want to try to do is to run it on a non-peak time. So right now I'm running it towards the evening. There's probably a lot of people that are logging onto the server right now and using it. And so for that reason, even though you may not successfully go through an upgrade during a peak load period of time, when you go in through a non-peak load time, you might be able to successfully upgrade it even with a large database. So it's going to let this run. This may run for maybe even another minute on my server here. If you do suspect that your server is running at a very heavy load, one thing you can do is go in and verify that by going back onto the command line. You can issue just a top command. This will show only your processes, typically, depending on how the server is configured. If you're the super user on there, or if you're already root, then maybe it'll show you all the processes. But either way, it shows you how long the server's been running, how many users are currently on the server. Now this is only going to show in this case, it only shows my users because I own my own process. This is the way they have this configured. They have this configured very, very securely, where I can't see any other users. And then it shows how much of a load that I'm actually creating on the system. 3.6 is a very, very high load. Anything over 1 indicates that the processor has a lot of items in the queue. The first number here is I believe it's the 30-second, then it's 1 minute, and then it's I believe 5 minutes. Don't quote me exactly on that, but you can see that I do have a high load on the system, and so for that reason, the script is going to run for a while. The other reason the script, the load is so high, and you can see it's actually increasing here, is as the database is actually being upgraded, these commands are running. This is putting a heavy load on the server. I believe this will show you the total amount of CPU right here. And so the entire server is not, looks like it's not maxed out. But it does seem to be running at a decent clip. If you see numbers that are consistently above the 80% range, then you know that you got a real big problem. A server running at 80% is basically going to be maxed out. Any peaks that come through will ended up getting put into queue, and that'll cause just like a backup on a highway causes a backup on the server. So this is a bad sign here. You can see this DDL SQL execution error. It looks like it's complaining that this table MDL _ sign already exists. I think what happened was I had upgraded the server once before, and so it's having a problem with this particular table. I did find a article on there where it looks like there's a bogus value perhaps somewhere. But either way, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll back to my previous instance and then retry to install. So if you run into a situation like this where you actually need to restore, let me show you how to restore your database. You would go into the PHP MyAdmin, click on the import, click on the browse button. Well, after looking at this error just a little more closely, I think the error that it's having is that this assign table already exists. So one option that we could do is we could try to delete this table and see if we could re-execute this script. So let's give that a shot. Sometimes in situations like this is where things really start going off the rails, and that backup becomes so important. So back in PHP MyAdmin, we're going to go to the MDL assign table. One thing what we'll do here is we're going to drop it and just delete this table right here. Drop table, assign, press go, yes, and that's going to delete that table. Now we do have our database in a fairly inconsistent state, so let's click on continue here and see what we get. It should cycle back in and try to reinstall that. Yep, it sure did. I hope that's what it did. I'll probably need to do a little more research to figure out if it actually went through the database script and retried that command, or if it just continued on and just ignored that error. I have a feeling that it just continued on and ignored that error. Anyway, so I'm glad you were able to join me for this installation. As you can tell, even though you may be an experienced IT person, sometimes you still run into some small rocky type issues where things are not quite as smooth as you would want them to be. Probably the proper thing to do at this point would be to do a restore of the database and then re-execute that command and see if you can get it to upgrade the database completely cleanly. Also, I'm not really sure what that this MDL assign table does. It does sound important for when you assign training, so that may be another consideration. So thank you for watching my upgrade guide. This was my first one, and as you saw, was a little rocky. So thanks for watching.